My grandmother's will was a love letter to our family. Her most prized possession, the weathered cedar cabin on Willow Lake, was to go to all my grandchildren, to be shared and enjoyed by them equally. She wrote those words herself, in looping cursive. It was our North Star. When she passed, my cousin Jessica, the estate lawyer in the family, volunteered to handle the simple trust, to make it all legal. We were grateful. She was family. She was an expert. She was doing us a favor. For 10 years, the system worked. We booked our summer weeks, coordinated holidays, split the property taxes. Then last fall, Jessica sent a terse email. Due to unsustainable maintenance costs and family conflicts, the trustee has made the difficult decision to sell Willow Lodge. The email included a link to the listing. The price was millions. The trustee was listed as the Willow Legacy Trust. The beneficiary, according to the trust document she finally sent when we demanded it, was not all my grandchildren. It was the lineal descendants of Jessica Marie Carter. Her children. Our grandfather, addled with grief when he signed her papers, had put his name on a document that legally redefined our grandmother's final wish. She didn't just interpret the trust. She rewrote the dictionary. Grandchildren no longer meant the 8 of us who'd built sandcastles on that shore. It meant her 2 sons. With one legal synonym, she disinherited 6 cousins and converted our shared heritage into a private college fund for her kids. The cabin wasn't sold. It was annexed. Willow Lodge wasn't fancy. It was a 3-bedroom time capsule of board games, mismatched china, and a porch swing that groaned under the weight of generations. It was the backdrop of our childhoods. Every grandchild, me, my brother, our 5 cousins, had a core memory welded to that place. Learning to fish, sneaking first beers, nursing first heartbreaks under its sloping roof. Grandma Eleanor was the keeper of the magic. She presided over chaotic family dinners, insisting the grandkids all sit at the wonky table together. Her greatest fear, she'd say, was that the family would drift apart. The cabin was her glue. When she died, the grief was immense, but her will was a comfort. It was clear, moral, and binding. The cabin would be held in trust for the benefit and use of all my grandchildren. It was a tangible promise that our family, as she knew it, would endure. My cousin Jessica, 10 years older than me, was a rising star at a big firm. She took charge with gentle authority at the reading of the will. "Don't worry about a thing," she told our weeping grandfather and the rest of us. "I'll set up a simple, airtight trust. It's what Grandma would have wanted. No lawyer fees for the family." We saw it as an act of love. She drafted the Willow Legacy Trust, had our grieving grandfather sign as settler, and she was appointed the sole trustee. It felt right. She was responsible, detail-oriented. She sent us a friendly, simplified summary, a schedule for booking weeks, a Venmo link for our share of the utilities. For a decade it worked. We praised her. "Thank God for Jessica," we'd say. "Who knows what mess we'd be in without her?" We had no idea the mess was the trust itself. The first crack was a smell. My family went up for our scheduled week in July and found the basement had flooded. The musty stench was overwhelming. Jessica was apologetic. The repair quotes are astronomical. The trust fund for maintenance is empty. We all need to chip in a special assessment, $5,000 per family. It was a huge, unexpected sum. Grumbling, we paid. But my brother, an engineer, asked to see the quotes and the trust's financials. Jessica was evasive. "It's all in the formal accounts. I'll compile a report." The report never came. Instead, the special assessments became annual. $2,000 for a new roof. $3,500 for shoreline erosion work. We were hemorrhaging money for a place we saw less and less because Jessica's family seemed to have it permanently booked for ongoing maintenance projects. The final straw was the email announcing the sale. No discussion. No family vote. A decision made by the trustee. The price was $2.3 million. Panic and fury erupted in our cousin group chat. We demanded an emergency meeting. Over a tense Zoom, Jessica was calm, corporate. She cited irreparable family discord and crippling liabilities. When we demanded to see the full trust document, the one none of us had ever read, she reluctantly sent a PDF. That's when we saw the poison pill. Article 1. Definitions. Beneficiaries shall mean the lineal descendants of Jessica Marie Carter. Article 4. Distribution of assets. Upon termination of the trustee shall distribute the trust assets to the beneficiaries, per stirpes. We were floored. This wasn't a mistake. This was a surgical strike. The trust our grandfather funded with the cabin was not for us. It was a gift from him, orchestrated by Jessica, to her own children. The booking schedule for the rest of us? We were merely licensees, temporary guests allowed at the trustee's discretion, paying for the privilege of maintaining her asset. The decade of special assessments weren't for repairs. They were a clever way to have us fund the property taxes and insurance on a cabin we didn't own, while she built equity in an asset destined for her kids. The definition of grandchildren had been legally hijacked. We weren't beneficiaries. We were tenants. We hired a trust litigation attorney, a shark named David, who specialized in fiduciary abuse. His first move was to subpoena all trust records and depose Jessica. The forensic accounting was a masterpiece of hidden greed. The astronomical repair quotes were from a company owned by Jessica's husband's brother. The work was either never done or done at a fraction of the cost. The empty maintenance fund? It had been systematically drained by trustee fees Jessica had paid herself, fees amounting to 5% of the trust's asset value annually, a wildly inflated rate. She'd paid herself over $150,000 in a decade for sending a few emails and booking a plumber. But the real horror was in the trust's creation. David obtained the file from Jessica's law firm. The early drafts of the trust, sent to our grandfather, used the standard definition of grandchildren. But the final version, the one sent for signature, had been altered. The change was buried on page 17. Our grandfather, in his 80s, drowning in grief for his wife of 60 years, had signed where the sticky note said, "Sign here." He never saw the change. Jessica had exploited his trust and his deteriorating attention to perpetrate a fraud. She betrayed the two most vulnerable people, her dead grandmother and her living grandfather. Confronted with the evidence in deposition, Jessica didn't break down. She defended her position with cold, legalistic arrogance. The term grandchildren in a will is ambiguous. As trustee and drafter, I had a duty to interpret it. I interpreted it in the way that best ensures the property's preservation and responsible stewardship, which is with a single, coherent branch of the family. She argued that our squabbling over weeks proved we were incapable of sharing. She'd cast herself as the responsible steward, saving the family from itself, while quietly transferring a multi-million-dollar asset to her own children. She'd played a long game, and for 10 years, we'd been the unwitting actors in her play. We didn't let her sell. David filed an emergency motion to remove her as trustee for breach of fiduciary duty and fraud on the settler, our grandfather. The judge, after reviewing the evidence, was scathing. He removed Jessica immediately, froze the sale, and appointed an independent trustee. The new trustee's first act was to reform the trust to reflect our grandmother's clear intent, all 8 grandchildren as equal beneficiaries. But the victory was Pyrrhic. The legal battle cost us each tens of thousands in legal fees, draining the very inheritance we were fighting for. The family was obliterated. Sides were taken. Our grandfather, when he finally understood what had been done in his name, was heartbroken. He died 2 years later, the shadow of the scandal over his final years. Jessica was reported to the state bar. She lost her law license. She and her family are pariahs. They never come to reunions. Willow Lodge is still there. We still use the booking schedule. But the magic is gone. It's now just a house we co-own with people we no longer trust or, in some cases, even speak to. The smell of cedar now smells like legal paper and resentment. Jessica didn't just try to steal a cabin. She weaponized our grandmother's love and our grandfather's grief to enrich her own children, and in doing so, She poisoned the well of our family forever. She taught us that the most dangerous words in a family aren't, "I hate you." There, I'll handle the paperwork. This story is a masterclass in how a single, trusted family member can rewrite history with a pen. So I'm asking, what safeguards are non-negotiable for family trust? Should multiple trustees be required? Should all beneficiaries get independent legal review? Debate the necessary rules in the comments. And if you have a family vacation home or shared inheritance, share this video. Share it not to create fear, but to inspire vigilance. The most important clause in any family trust isn't about money. It's about who gets to define the word family. And that definition should never be left on a sticky note.